Watch now when I see you.
Around the corner, and there's 4.1 million reasons to join in.
Good evening.
Hi, Jane.
Okay, good evening. You can hear me? Yes, good.
Yep.
Tell me when you're ready to begin, please, if you don't mind.
Well, it's now 7:30, so we can begin.
Okay, good evening and welcome to the Fleggburgh Parish Council meeting. Before the meeting, the clerk will read out the recording policy.
In the interests of openness and transparency, this meeting is being recorded. This meeting is streamed. Consequently, it can be recorded and posted on social media. If you wish to protect your anonymities, please anonymize your username on Zoom and avoid using video. Please be advised that if you wish to speak during the public forum or at any other point during this meeting, your anonymity cannot be guaranteed.
Thank you. If anyone disrupts this meeting, the clerk will either mute them or put them in the waiting room. I hope this doesn't need to happen. If anyone needs to speak, they will need to raise their blue hand and wait to be invited to speak. You will be allowed to speak only once on any particular motion. We will take votes on a roll call, so each person will be asked to say if they are in favour of a motion or not. Anyone who does not unmute themselves or speak up within a reasonable amount of time will be deemed to have abstained. At the end of the first session, you will need to log off and then log in to the second part of the meeting at 8:15. For avoidance of doubt, the agenda is one meeting with a short break in the middle, and the same rules apply. We may not manage to get through the whole agenda, but we will do our best, time permitting. So we now can commence the meeting, and we open with the public forum for any comments from the members of the public.
Hayden
Madam
Fertile.
Chair,
Sorry, Hayden Fertile has his hand up.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I've received some emails that have been circulating saying that I'm not been invited to these meetings. I have been invited to these meetings. However, I have been told by the clerk that I am not here to give a verbal report, and neither is the Borough Councillor, Adrian Thompson. Now, there are one or two things that I would like to talk about, and I feel that I should be in a position to do a report to the Parish Council. When I asked the clerk why I wasn't allowed to do a report, he said that was his prerogative and I wouldn't be doing one. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Hayden. Jimmy, do you wish to respond, or are we moving on?
I stand by that. The emails circulating that somehow I'm breaking the rules by not inviting you are absolutely false. But in terms of you giving your report, I did email both yourself and Adrian and said that you would not be giving your reports in future, especially given the time constraints we have, and also that you could email me your reports and I would put them on the website, which I have, and I think that's quite appropriate. Frank?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I wish to put the record straight on something that was said on the last meeting, that Hayden donated to the crossing survey. He kindly allocated the money for the crossing survey, but Norfolk County Council paid the money. That came over to me last time, but that was actually came out of his own pocket, but he kindly allocated it out of his allowance from Norfolk County Council. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Did Celia start to speak? or
Yes,
she-
yes, if you don't mind, Madam Chairman.
No,
I would like something just cleared up and confirmed, because it seems a bit of a mystery to me. At the last meeting, I read out a Facebook rant by Councillor Peake, which he said, Dr. Jimmy Miller is a liar. Dr. Jimmy Miller, clerk to Fleggburgh Parish Council, is a dishonest, scheming, devious, threatening liar. I mean, I didn't get any response to that, but at the same time, I'm querying the fact that when it was put on YouTube, this wasn't shown or heard. So, I mean, you can't just surely pick and choose what goes on YouTube. You've got to have the complete meeting, surely, or it becomes a farce.
Okay, Councillor Peake, would you like to respond?
Yes, I would like to, by all means. I'm not allowed to, for legal reasons, I'm afraid, Celia.
What, you mean you can't answer that question?
Indeed, yes, I can't, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I can answer it for you, Celia.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had correspondence with Andrew's barrister over this last few days. He's engaged a barrister against me because he accuses me of defaming him, which I find absolutely ludicrous. He has removed the part where I have allegedly defamed him. I believe that he actually really removed the part because he didn't want to look bad.
Yeah, that is what I believe too. I believe that he didn't want that circulated.
So you don't wish to reply to that, Andrew?
I'm afraid I can't, Jim. In the fullness of
Okay.
time, this will all come out, but I'm afraid I just cannot at this time.
Okay. Celia, was there anything else you'd like to say, or
Well, no, there's nothing really to say. I mean, I just think it's so dreadful that you can go around writing that somebody is dishonest, scheming, devious, and a threatening liar. But there we go. I mean, I just don't understand it, but there we are. That's it, I'm afraid.
okay, thank you. Are
Hayden
there any more comments?
Hayden Fertile.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. I just want to raise an issue that cropped up at the last meeting, and that was in relation to the crossing and the use of Section 106 money from the Borough Council. Unfortunately, Section 106 money cannot be used for a crossing. It can only be used for housing or sports equipment and associated issues in relation to the sport. It cannot be used for a road crossing. That Section 106 money from Norfolk County Council can be used for the crossing. However, application must be made at the time of the building application, and it cannot be made retrospectively. So there would be no Section 106 money in respect of the crossing. I think I ought to mention that. Of course, it was mentioned at the last meeting by various councillors. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone wish to respond to what Hayden's just said? No? Okay. Anybody else got anything they wish to raise? If not, we will move on to the rest of the agenda.
Andrew Peake has his hand up.
Okay.
I have to say, in response to Hayden, if I misquoted the Section 106 monies coming from wherever, I apologise. That was maybe my misunderstanding, but that highlights the fact that we all need to be trained on this, because we could benefit the community by being trained in this and the what's the other, community infrastructure levy. We could be trained in that. We could ask for money from developers, and we could use that to put that towards community projects. The fact is, We don't know enough about it.
Yeah, can I
Okay.
just respond? Can I just respond to
Yes,
what
yes,
Andrew
of course.
said? Yeah, it's quite interesting. He mentioned the community infrastructure levy, the sill. There is actually no sill in Great Yarmouth. It doesn't appear, although I've heard councillors talk about it. There is no such thing as sill in Great Yarmouth. Thank you.
Adrian Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Just to clarify this, where this come from is the application for the 33 houses at Tar Road. In that application was 2 flashing signs outside Fleggburgh School
Yeah.
as part of the planning application, which we've already got. And what was said at the time was that money should be better diverted towards the crossing than have 2 flashing signs what we already got. That's where the information, from what I understand, come from. 106 money, as Hayden say, is open space money. I can't comment on that at the moment, but where this information come from was the 2 flashing signs which were in the original plan application, the 33 at Tar Road.
Yeah, I remember that distinctly at the time. Do I see Andrew's got his hand up?
Thank you,
Councillor
Chair. Just to Hayden, a couple of 3 years ago, I attended a community infrastructure levy presentation by a lady. I thought she was employed by the Yarmouth Borough Council to promote these schemes. But at the time, the Parish Council wasn't ready to go forward with any projects. I understand it's quite a difficult and long drawn out process. So now I find it very strange to say that you're telling me there is no community infrastructure levy scheme in it when the Borough Council, I think, paid for this lady to make these presentations and get parish councils together in community halls to roll this scheme out. But you say no, nothing's happened. But
no, there's no sill. It was never taken on. They are stuck with the Section 106 money. Now, I've contacted the council in respect of this because Section 106 money should be kept separate, and parishes should know what Section 106 money that they have. Historically, that happened, but it hasn't happened for a long time. I contacted the Borough Councillor that covers Molesby, Andy Grant, and asked him to look into it, and he's gone to the Borough Council and asked them to do a report on what Section 106 money is available and the amount to each parish, because that should be available. And I think it is been identified as a bit of a failure somewhere in the system. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Well, we'll have to see if we can look into this further. So we'll move on now with the agenda. Number 2 on the item is receive and approve apologies for absence. Is Sean's here?
Yeah.
Sean's here. And Fran?
Fran has sent her apologies.
She sent her apologies. Okay, and everyone else is here. So we move on to number 3, which is declarations of interest for items and applications for dispensations.
Frank Brown.
Yeah, I'd like to declare an interest on item 12, but reserve the right to speak and vote if necessary.
Sean Haken.
Yeah, I've got a declaration of interest with the number 6 planning on Marsh Road. I've received a letter as a resident.
Okay.
Thank you.
John.
Yeah, I'd like to declare an interest on item 6A2 planning and also item 13 parish days.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So we move on to number 4, to approve the minutes of the meeting held on Thursday, the 21st of January, 21.
Sorry, we've got Andrew Peake putting his hand up.
Oh, sorry.
I have no hand button on my screen, but I should like to declare an interest in 6A2 also, personally known to the applicant.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Andrew, if you click on participants,
Yes.
on participants, and that's down the bottom of that screen there. You'll get all the participants come up on the side of the screen.
No, it's not. It's not, Adrian. It's not.
That's how I had
It's
to do it.
not.
I had to bring participants up and then it's down the bottom.
Yeah, well, I'm doing that. I've got participants 26. And,
Have you got them on the side? Have you got them on the side of the screen?
Yeah, they're on the side of the screen. Yeah, you'll see.
Right down the
yeah,
bottom
it's on the
left
side of
there?
the screen.
Okay.
I have only mute. I have only mute.
Can
All
I,
right.
can I
Okay,
come in?
John Walsh, yeah.
Yeah. If he goes to the bottom, if he's got a reactions, if he clicks on that,
Yeah.
there's a raise hand on that.
Reaction.
That's what I use.
Thank you, John.
okay, so under number 4, to approve the minutes of the meeting held on Thursday, the 21st of January 21. I just got to read this out. The clerk has received a letter from a barrister engaged by a parish councillor. Clerk has checked regarding the legality of finalising these minutes and has been advised that any councillor who approves these minutes would not be liable in the potential case that may ensue. So having read that out, anybody got any comments? I presume you've all read the minutes of the meeting.
Frank Brown.
Yeah, I'd like to propose we accept these minutes.
Thank you.
I see nothing wrong with them. And you've done
Richard
it up
Sewell.
to date.
Richard.
Yeah, I'll second them.
Thank you. Okay. So
Okay,
we have a proposal to accept the minutes from the last meeting. June, for or against?
4.
Keith, for or against?
Or
Let's just say John Walsh, for or against?
Or
Andrew Peake, for or against?
Abstain.
Thank you. Sean, for or against?
Or
JR, for or against?
Or
Motion carried. Thank you.
okay, thank you very much. So we move on to number 5, to receive and note the clerk's monthly report. Hope you've all had a chance to read the report. The one thing I have to mention is that Jimmy has been offered a job as a parish clerk at Tunstead, and I think within his contract he has an obligation to ask us whether we're happy for him to accept another role of employment. So
Yeah, and which you cannot unreasonably refuse.
so is that something we actually need to take a vote on, the fact that we've mentioned it, and if no one's objecting against it, we just...
Well, we've got Keith Osborne.
I'd just like to ask the question. I believe from looking at Tunstead, the timing of their council meetings doesn't compromise the Fleggburgh meetings.
Yeah,
So
not at all.
So therefore, I have no objections and would propose that we accept, and you can join them.
All right, thank you very much, Keith.
Thank you. Do we have a sec?
Yeah, I would like to say that I think he should accept the job and wish him all the best.
Okay, so we have a proposal. That's all okay. JR.
yeah, if Frank hadn't done that, I'd second it.
Well, I'll take that as a vote in favour. And John Walsh.
I was just about to say that the parish clerk for Acle, in fact, is a parish clerk for other councils, but I can't tell which ones they are, but I know she does more than one. So there is a precedent for it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, I think you're eminently suitable for another position anyway. It's perfectly within your capabilities, and I wish you well.
Thank you very much. Keith Osborne.
I was just going to say, I've proposed it. I haven't heard of seconder, but we seem to be voting.
No, we have. Frank has seconded it, so I will now go through that, Keith. June,
Okay.
for or against?
4.
John Walsh, for or against?
Or
Richard, for or against?
Or
Andrew, for or against?
This motion has not been advertised for the requisite 3 days, so
Yeah.
I cannot vote on it, so I will abstain.
That's very good. Thank you. And Sean, for or against?
yeah, 4, and congratulations.
Can I say, as such, this motion is more just about the council doing what they have to do, which is not being unreasonable in allowing me to take another position. Okay, so can we move on, June?
Okay, yes, moving on to number 6, which is planning. Application received BA 2021-023, the bungalow Broad Road, Fleggburgh, to demolish and replace workshop in an alternative location on site.
Frank Brown.
I see no problem with this. The old shed is an abortion. I mean, that come from bushes at Winton originally, that's asbestos, and that would do well to remove that. And I believe he's got to put up a smaller building somewhere else. So I propose that we
Thank you.
support it.
John Walsh.
Yeah, if I had a look at the application, the one question I would have, I don't know if anybody else could help me with it, is that he's talking about, or the applicant is talking about removing some of the trees and replanting other trees to take their place. But there's no mention on the application that I could see whether any of those trees are subject to tree preservation orders. Did anybody else pick up on that at all?
Sean Haken.
Sorry, yeah, I was just going to support Frank's. Yeah,
Okay.
and second.
Yeah, Keith Osborne.
I was just going to comment that we have also, whilst it's not to do with existing planning application, the occupier of the property has sent you some correspondence, Jimmy, about moving a public footpath.
That's correct.
Now, I believe that should be an application made to either the county council or the borough council to request a public path order, not come straight into parish council. But surely that should be done in parallel with the existing application.
Yeah, can I just say that is not on the agenda tonight, and as it turns out, there are issues with that. So, and I agree with you. I don't think the parish council can actually look at that. Frank, you're next. I believe you have more information on that.
Yeah, I've been in touch with the Shreves and they've got to contact him because that should be a track, not a path. Otherwise, if that's just a path, they wouldn't have access to their house if Broad Farm claim their land back. So that's got to be sorted out first. And plus there's a drainage problem there as well. So that is a bit more than I think the applicant is bargaining for, but he will be spoken to.
JR.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything we can
say
do.
that that's not on the. I was just going to
No,
say
it's not
that
on the
that's
agenda.
application what we're looking at, so I don't think that's for another day, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I think we should vote on. We've got a proposer and a seconder. Is that correct?
Yeah, to support
Yeah.
the planning application.
Yeah, to support it.
So just to reiterate, is to provide the proposal is motion to support this application. June, for or against?
4.
Keith, for or against?
4.
John Walsh, for or against?
4.
Richard, for or against?
4.
Andrew, for or against?
Support.
Thank you. And JR, for or against?
4.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you. The second one is 0620-0673, Marsh Road site off Fleggburgh, Great Yarmouth. Development of a site to create a plot for a detached 4-bedroomed bungalow and a detached cart lodge.
Frank?
Yeah, I'd like to, first of all, I'd like to say, is the applicant online? Can we speak to him?
I can't see him in the list of participants, but then again, he could be anonymised.
Is the agent there, if not?
Doesn't
Is there
appear
any
so.
representative at all of the planning application here tonight? Well, it seems not. So
One of the issues that I'd like to ask him was, I think at the previous meeting when reserved matters come up for the 4 on 1064, he stated that he'd sold the land where the 4 are. And on this drawing, they're included in the blue line as his own property. If that's the case, that make a big difference, because if that passed it and there was an issue with Marsh Road and the 1064, he doesn't own the land on the corner. So therefore, drawing should be changed. And also, he's gone on to foul water sewage. That's a long way from the 1064 to where his bungalow's got to be. I'd like to ask him whether that's achievable. That's got to be very deep to be able to get the all. But if he ain't there, we can't ask him. But other than that, I think Marsh Road is totally unsuitable. It's narrow. There's a major flood problem. Development will only make things worse. There is no footpath, which is what parishioners want in the NDP, although that doesn't apply yet. Therefore, the development is totally car dependent and contravenes the Norfolk Transport Plan 2026, and it does nothing to reduce reliance on cars. This is Stuart Friendship Highway's own words. It's another application on Tretz Lane, although it took him 5 pages to do that there. Also, the borough has just refused another development in Rollsby Road on the grounds that out of the development area. They're also refused another development in Tretz Lane, a large bungalow very similar to that one, on the grounds of out of the development area and no footpath. They're also got their 5-year land supply, so I propose that we don't support the application.
Thank you. Does anyone else have anything to say on this?
Keith Osborne.
I would only say, I can't remember exactly which month it was, but there was a previous application on this, which was removed, which was 0619 0670 for exactly the same bungalow, except that had a garage, whereas now it's got a cart shed, and previously it had 2 accesses onto Marsh Road. I don't see much difference, but I just remind council that back in, I think it was November 2019, we supported that application.
Frank Brown.
It's on.
Yeah, that was a lot. This one was a lot further down than the other one, and cause a lot bigger drainage problem than what this one would.
It's on another field though, isn't it?
It's on the other side of the road.
It's on the other side of the road, Keith, as well. It's not on the same piece of land.
Okay.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
I thought from the drawing I saw that was on the same side of the road as previous.
No, that's on the other side of the road, and that's a lot. This one is a lot further down Marsh Road.
Okay.
Right. So we have a proposer not to support it. Do we have a seconder?
Keith Osborne.
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. So the proposal is not to support. Richard Sewell, for or against?
I'm against it.
Thank you. And JR, for or against the motion, which is not to support? Oh, sorry, JR, you're excluded. So the people I've got who can't vote is June. John Walsh, you can vote, sorry.
Sorry,
I'm for the motion not to support it.
Thank you. So Andrew, you're not voting. Sean, you're not voting, and JR, you're not voting. Correct? Keith Osborne.
Yeah. Can you just go back to Richard, because Richard, I think, has done a double negative.
Yes, I don't think he realised that was not to support it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, Richard, just to confirm, you're voting to not support the application.
They're not to support it. No, I don't want them there. I want to see it there.
Okay, I think that's pretty clear, everybody.
Yeah.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm abstaining.
Yeah. So there was only 1, 2, 3, 4 people voting, and they all voted for the motion not to support.
Okay, thank you. So moving on from there, 6B, 0621 026 TRE, an extension has been granted, and this will be dealt with in the March meeting. So that will be on next month's agenda. There have been no planning decisions, none since the 12th of February either. Is that correct, Jimmy?
That is correct.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So moving on then to the correspondence. To consider and respond to the following correspondence. Have you all had a chance to look at the list? Has anybody got anything they wish to say or comment on? No? Okay, well, if there's nobody got anything to mention on that, we will then move on to finance, number
Sorry,
8.
We've got John Walsh coming.
Oh, sorry, I don't,
Yep.
yeah,
Sorry, June, I didn't get a chance to get in there quick enough.
that's okay.
One of the correspondence was from the Citizens Advice requesting a donation. Are we dealing with that or not?
I thought that was that on the agenda?
No, it's actually on the correspondence.
Oh, on the correspondence, yes, sorry, yeah. Just to be clear on that, actually, it wasn't last year that we gave a contribution, it was the year before.
Correct.
When we gave £50, but last year we decided not to give it. So, yeah, does anyone have any views on this, whether we should contribute or not? Do I take it that we feel we, yeah?
Frank?
Yeah, I mean, if they always used to help various people in the parish. I don't know if they do now because there's no office in Yarmouth now, is there? I think this is probably why we didn't donate last year. I think our nearest place now for CAB is in Norwich, unless they're opened one in Yarmouth again. But if they got one in Yarmouth, and they did used to help a lot of people in the parish, they were used a lot.
Yes,
and
yeah.
If that is the case, I would support paying them 50 quid, but if not, I would be against it.
Andrew Peake.
Can this be added to the next meeting agenda with a proposal for discussion rather than
Absolutely.
meandering on into falling into a decision?
Yeah,
and then perhaps we
next
can
agenda.
Advertisement.
Yeah, and we can find out then whether there is anything in Yarmouth. So yes, thank you for that, Andrew. We'll do that.
Can I just come in there? They did say on the letter that they could give me some sort of report of what they'd done within Fleggburgh. So I'll check up with them about that.
Okay, thank you.
Richard.
All I was going to say, there's not a place in Yarmouth.
Thank you.
Right, okay. Right, okay, well, we'll stick to what we said. We'll put it on next month's agenda. So moving on to finance number 8. To note bank reconciliations and to note accounts. Have you all had a chance to have a look at all the paperwork sent to you? Are there any comments?
Sean Aiken.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a question about the accounts. I was wondering the item equipment. What does that cover? Because it's quite a large amount.
Okay, I'm now having a look.
Yeah, I was just wondering, because it is such a large amount, if that would be better if that was itemized, perhaps.
Some I would imagine is the gate for the village hall, and the rest of it, I'm trying to think what big items we've had. I can't think at the moment, but I can certainly
The Sam
get back to you
2
on
sign? Would it be the Sam 2 sign?
I'm not convinced it's, that might be another 1,000 or 1,200 of it, yeah.
Yeah, trying to think what else.
But I can certainly give you an itemised list on that, Sean. And
Yeah,
I'll send that to all councillors.
Yeah, please. I think maybe, if we had a little note on the sheet as well, which maybe itemizes, maybe not everything, but if it's a substantial amount of money, then I think maybe it should be on there for viewing.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Cheers.
Thank you. So do I have a proposer and a seconder to agree the bank reconciliation and to note the accounts?
Frank Brown.
Yeah, I would propose we accept them.
Thank you. Keith Osborne.
I'll second those.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Richard, you got your hand up? Oh, your hand's down, that's fine. Yeah, no problem. So the motion is to approve the bank rec and accounts. June, for or against?
4.
John Walsh, for or against?
4.
Richard, for or against?
4.
Andrew, for or against?
4.
Thank you. Sean, for or against?
4.
And JR, for or against?
4.
Motion carried, thank you.
Thank you. And the next is C, to approve the items of payment. They're listed there below, J Miller and URM. So
Adrian Thompson's come in.
Sorry, yeah, just a quick one there. We're coming to the end of the first meeting. Just a reminder that we need a different code and password for the second half when people sign in for the second half, which is unusual. But you've only got a few minutes left on this first meeting.
Okay,
okay,
Frank
thank
Brown.
you.
Yeah, I propose we accept the items for payment.
Thank
Perhaps we
you.
ought to double Jimmy's. Perhaps we ought to double Jimmy's.
Yeah, don't worry, you wait till next month. JR.
So I'll second that.
Thank you. So
Okay.
the proposal, the motion is to approve the items for payment. June, for or against?
4.
Keith Osborne, for or against?
4.
John Walsh, for or against?
4.
Richard, for or against?
4.
Andrew, for or against?
Against.
Thank you. Sean, for or against?
4.
Motion carried, thank you.
Thank you. And the last one, which we'll finish off with before we break off, is to the reinvestment of money. Well, hire account or whatever. We're still on the same interest that we're on, and there's nothing much we can do about that. So when we recommence the meeting,
June,
we
we've got nearly 3 minutes if you want to begin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So we'll move on to number 9, which is Mary Lovell Blake. Mary Lovell Blake was a former parish councillor, and she sadly passed away. And I just wanted to hand this over to Frank. Councillor Brown, who would like to say?
I would like to propose that we send a letter of condolence to
George?
her family. She was a parish councillor for several years. She was also chairman of our parish council for several years, and she was a borough councillor for Winton. I just think that's right, that we should send a letter of condolence and thanks to well, that would be to her husband now. That weren't her husband at that time.
Yeah.
That would be now.
Well, yeah. So if you're proposing that, I would second that.
Okay, thank you, June. JR, you got your hand up?
Well, I'll support that. I'd just like to say that I was going to second it, but I just
Yep.
agree with everything.
That's fine.
And
Yeah.
her family worked tirelessly for this village for years.
Okay, so the proposal, the motion is to send a letter of condolence to her husband. Keith, for or against?
4.
John Walsh, for or against?
4.
Richard, for or against?
4.
Andrew, for or against?
4.
Sean, for or against?
4.
Motion carried. We've got 1:20 left, 1 minute 20.
Right. Thank you very much. So we're up to number 10 now. Fleggburgh Parish Council putting videos of meetings on the YouTube. Fleggburgh Parish Council has never been against videos being put on YouTube or anywhere else. What was disturbing to many was the videos were put on by a sitting parish councillor without any discussions at council and without any warning whatsoever. So the question is, would we like Fleggburgh Parish Council to put, say the clerk to put this on YouTube every month ourselves?
Frank Brown.
Yeah, I think that Jimmy should put them on, and let's have them on properly.
Thank you.
Right. Anybody else?
Sean Haken.
Yeah, I would second that motion.
Okay, so the motion is to support the parish council putting the videos of the meetings on YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay, JR.
Yeah, I'm for that. I was going to second that. So we get
Okay.
all the meetings.
Andrew Peake.